What's up, guys? Lucas Still and Steven Talbert here with Awesome Athletes, and today we're going to talk about velocity and why velocity is important. It's a big factor of our program. It's an integral part of the game today. So just kind of off the bat, velocity is sort of a prerequisite in order to play at the higher levels. I don't care how good you are. If you're throwing 75, you're not going to get drafted.
Yep.
That's just kind of a fact of the game. Isaiah Nunez, one of our coworkers, was one of the best pitchers stat-wise during his college career at Northridge, but he sat 78 to 82 from the left side.
No offense, Zay.
Great pitcher. He was a
Yeah.
Friday night guy and had
Ace.
amazing collegiate stats. Was, I think, 9th or 8th in the nation in walks per 9.
Oh, yeah.
Great pitcher, but didn't get drafted because his velo wasn't there. I think it was 15 or 20 years ago, the average fastball in the major leagues was 89. Last year, the average fastball was 93.5. So everything is increasing. I don't think there was a single guy drafted in this last year's draft that didn't throw 90 plus.
Yeah, at least.
Granted, it was a 5-round draft. But why velocity is important if you want to kind of dive into it. Now, if your fastball's harder or faster, the hitter has less time to react, right? So what does that mean? Not only are you going to get more swings and misses, are you going to be able to miss more barrels, but now you have a greater margin of error because the hitter has to decide to swing sooner. And so they are deciding if a pitch is a strike to swing on. So pitches that might be out of the zone are more likely to be swung at because hitters have less time to react.
Yeah, I mean, with the stuff being there, that's kind of the deal with the lingo of if you just pitch, they'll come and find you, or if you just locate your fastball, they'll come and find you, or you'll have success. And I think we're seeing now that that's just very rare and simply not true. You might have a guy, an outlier like Hendricks now with the Cubbies. I mean, but he's got, metrically speaking, probably one of the better moving fastballs in the game. So it doesn't compare to, for example, your 88, your 86 mile an hour, straight heater that's, not moving at the same clip as his.
Right.
But to your point, it's like, if you look at the game, every night there's guys coming out of the bullpen that are 97 to 100 plus, and if you look at the pitches, not every pitch is right and low and outside corner. They're missing up, they're missing out, but the hitter has no choice but to swing.
Right.
And the velocity is the only thing that's going to influence, that miss, which is good.
Not when you have the higher velo guys, you guys are throwing 95 plus. Not only is their fastball better, but now their off speed's better too.
Oh, yeah.
So your slider's sharper, your curveball has more depth. Like all of your secondary stuff is better too. So now you have better stuff again. Getting more swings and misses, getting more swings on bad pitches out of the zone. As a pitcher, at the end of the day, you're just trying to get that guy out and not let him score. That's kind of a simplified version.
Right.
And it's a lot easier to do that when you throw harder and you have better off speed.
Yeah, I mean, it's much easier when you're throwing 97 instead of 87. I mean, everybody in the world knows that, right? And this is a hot topic in the sense that everybody gets fired up about the command versus velo argument. And they can go hand in hand. Our point is that we want to combine them to where we're addressing velocity first, not command first. And that's something, we learned up at Driveline Baseball and all the connections we've made, and what we've learned is that, you train the stuff first. Let's get the stuff there, and then we can learn how to pitch and execute, which are both tough jobs. Neither are easy to do. That doesn't mean we have to run away from velocity and just pretend like it's going to show up one day. It's easy to hit a pad at 70%. It's easier, I should say. But you can flick the ball in there and hit the pad. But when you go into the game, it's like, if I'm practicing at 70% of my RPE all the time, it's not going to work.
Right.
You don't just turn it on in the game.
I think it might have been Bauer that said you have to throw 95 before you can command 95.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at the mechanics of anyone that's gone from 85 to 95 or 80 to 90 or anyone that's had a big velo jump, they're going to look way different when they're throwing 10 miles an hour harder. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to perfect your mechanics and perfect your command if you're throwing 80, if your goal is to command 90. You got to be able to learn to throw 90 and then learn to command it. You're not building an engine or building mechanics for an 80 mile an hour body. You want that 90, 95 with the good mechanics and command there. And then on top of that, like if you're throwing at 70% RPE, it's really tough to repeat that. Yeah. Because one throw might be 69%, one throw might be 71%, one throw might be 70%. So you're not going to have the same exact mechanics. The easiest percent RPE to repeat is 100%.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to actually like repeat your mechanics, which is a buzzword now.
Which is also tough, yeah, but it is the best way to go about it. Is have the end goal in mind, which is, throw my best pitch right here, right now, and have that intention, and then here comes my body, and I'm gonna let it do what it does to give me that result. Everybody's different, right? So it's with that end result in mind, it's gonna be key,
Right.
to how the body reacts.
And it's also like, once you are throwing harder, your mechanics probably are better.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the way that, we teach mechanics comes through constraint drills and, weighted implements and putting kids or trainees in positions where they're kind of forced to emulate a movement that we want
Yeah.
without telling them and having them try to force it. And so when they're doing that over time and their body adapts to that, now the ball might come out better just from more efficient movement patterns, which will result in higher velocity. So higher velocity might be, might show you that, hey, you're actually doing this more efficiently.
Yeah, and that comes from us just saying, hey, let's try to throw the ball hard here. It works a lot with younger kids. You'll see it a lot, and I'm sure a lot of you know. When you tell a younger kid that, has been told a lot of positional, they've been aware of their positions through their motion, their delivery, and everything. But you just tell them that, hey, let me see you throw this ball as hard as you can. It's pretty incredible what their body will do.
Yeah.
When they're younger, it's a little easier. They don't have reps and reps and reps of ingrained motion in them. But it's pretty impressive when you just tell them to throw the ball hard, what can happen. And like we're saying, that results in the velocity and the movement patterns we want to see.
The thing that I say a lot is like, if I was trying to teach you how to run fast or run correctly, and I was, all right, Steven, I want you to lift your left elbow at the same time you lift your right knee, and I want you to have dorsiflexion in your left ankle when it reached peak maximum.
I'd fall over.
You'd fall over. You'd be robotic. You'd be stiff. You wouldn't run well. But if a cheetah ran through the door and you had to run for your life, you'd probably have pretty good mechanics.
Yeah, it'd be out of here.
You'd be out. You'd be moving quickly. But that's just like, getting out of the trying to force certain things, or just moving as fast as you can, resulting in having better mechanics. So, there's just all this upside to velo, and there's all this upside to having command with velo. It's not, as you said, it's not like they're separate of each other. It's usually they can go hand in hand. Like I see it a lot just because I edit all our videos. Yeah. Usually in a bullpen or live ABs, the hardest pitches of said bullpen or said live ABs are usually strikes. The balls that are yanked or pulled are usually a couple miles an hour slower.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing with what we're doing and where the game's going now. The game's changing, whether people like it or not. And I hate saying the old school versus the new school, but the two different thoughts we currently have, we all see it. Everyone out there knows. There's this big command circle, it seems, and there's a big velocity circle, it seems. And like Lucas says, a lot of times when we try to tell guys, throw the ball as hard as you can in this bullpen, whether we don't care ball or strike, whatever it is, it's just to work on arm speed and velo. A lot of times it will be a strike at their highest clip, their highest velocity. So it makes a lot of people upset, thinking that, oh, we don't care about velocity here. You guys don't care about where the ball goes. Your pitcher will never perform in a game. And it's not that. There's a time and place to work on those things, like we said. And there is a place for pitching. We all know that. You can't just go into a game and walk 5 batters in a row without probably getting yanked or something happening without a process. We all know that. But we're strictly talking about the velocity of your fastball and the other pitches and how that gets you in the door at the higher level. We all know that. And I think that's why you need to prioritize, training wherever it may be, however it may be, with a data-driven approach. It's crucial now if you want to play at that next level. So.
It's like almost like a hierarchy of needs, right? Like, or the lowest hanging fruit or progression, whatever you want to call it. Like, you kind of need the velo before you can build all the other stuff. Like you were just talking about. Like, you need to be able to pitch. You can't go and walk everyone. You need a curveball. You need to be able to hold runners on. Like all this stuff. But if you're throwing 75, all that stuff doesn't matter because you're not going to be able to play past a certain point.
Yeah.
So a lot of the pull downs and stuff that we post that guys see, like that's kind of step one. Let's build the engine. Let's get guys throwing hard. Once you have the velo, like we've got some pro guys that don't pull down at all, or they pull down like once or twice in an off season, but they need to refine their slider and make their slider go from 8 inches of horizontal break to 10 inches or something small like that. And so a lot of our time is spent on the mound. Maybe they're cutting their fastball, 70% specialty fastballs, and we need it to be 95 plus. So we're doing a lot of work with the Clean Fuego, slow motion camera, trying to, with the Rapsodo, trying to clean up the spin efficiency on the fastball. So again, it's not that velo is the end all be all, but it's something that without it, it doesn't really matter what else you have. Like,
Yeah.
I strongly believe that you could put Isaiah Nunez into a minor league game right now, a major league game, and he'll get outs.
Yeah, he'll get outs.
He did it in the Big West against guys that got drafted,
Yeah.
got wins, didn't allow runs, but he never got the opportunity to do it at the next level because his velocity was his ceiling. And so, on the flip side of that, you got a bunch of guys that struggled in college stat-wise.
Yeah.
That one guy, I think, was from North Carolina.
Okay, yeah, we saw in the draft this year.
Yeah, there's a guy in the draft this year that was throwing, 98 to 100?
Yeah, 100.
And he had maybe 18 or 19 innings, and he had like 40 walks. But he got drafted, and a guy like Isaiah didn't. So it's clear what gets you in the door, and as Steven said, once you get in the door, then you have to perform.
Yeah.
But I think just a simple way to put it is the higher velo you have, the greater margin of air you have. And that's for everything,
That
right?
is a good way to put it.
If you're throwing 90 and you want a chance to play in the big leagues, you're going to have to have way much better command than if you throw 100. If you throw 100, you have a greater margin of air for your command. If you throw 100, you have a greater margin of air for poor performance on the field. They'll keep you around longer.
Oh, yeah, they're going to keep you around.
If you throw 90 and you give up a couple home runs, you might be pulled.
Yeah, and they can
You
use
might
your
be cut.
velocity as the reason, Maybe this is his velocity here, compared to 10 years ago. You see it all the time. Guys' velo goes down, their performance dwindles, And usually they talk about velocity first things first, or they reinvented themselves as a pitcher, right? But nowadays, it's like, we don't have to do that. We don't have to lose that. We can train. We have so many there's opportunities across the country to train and get your stuff where it needs to be in order to execute on the field at a high level. So that's pretty cool that everybody has that luxury now,
And then going back to what you said quickly about Hendricks and Greg Maddux, like those guys, their margin of error, we just talked about, is so small because they don't throw that hard, but they have elite levels of command, elite level of movement on their balls, where they can throw sinkers that move this much and put it exactly where they want. So it's not the same as you said, if you're throwing 88, throwing 50% strikes and missing your
God
spots
knows
most
where
of the
it's
time.
going,
And straight, like
it's an art for sure. It's an art to pitching, And like Lucas said, I think your margin of error when you're throwing harder is a lot greater. So it's important what you prioritize early on. I think I tell it to our guys all the time. We trained at Driveline baseball, and that kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things. Taught me a lot about what's important in the game, and seeing these guys go to different schools and different levels. It's like, because of the gains on the gun in the gym, they were getting greater opportunities.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to see, and it kind of taught you, like I said, if you can get that number you need on the gun first, then prioritize your command and whatnot, learn the intangibles of the game, find a school, whatever it may be, a training facility that you can work on these things at with your new arsenal. It's just going to lead to a better opportunity, which is pretty cool.
Definitely. I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, velo is important. If you want to continue to play this game as long as you can, velo is going to be needed. Again, it's not the only thing, but it's definitely one of the first things that should be addressed. So, if you guys have any questions about that or want to know more about velo or anything like that, just let us know.
Yeah.
Besides that, until next time.
Till next time, guys.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks.